Assalamualaikum. Dear students, today we will talk about the mechanical system, and our objective in this case would be to get the transfer function. As I said in the previous lecture, the transfer function is one of the most important, you can say, element of any control system, by virtue of which we can design and analyze or modify the control system according to our requirements. Now, talking about electrical systems, we have three basic elements: R, L, and C. Now, the sources can be either a voltage source or can be either a current source. Now, we can write the equation for these, governing equation for these, when we talk about the voltage. For the resistor, it is simply I into R, and the corresponding Laplace transform would be simply Is into R. For the case of inductor, we have L dit by dt, and in this case we will be looking at something like this particular quantity. And in the case of the capacitor, we have 1 over C integral I t dt, which can be written as Is over SC. So these are the governing equation. Now we can reform these governing equation in terms of current as well. So when we talk about the case of resistance, we simply have Vt over R, and the corresponding Laplace transform would be this one. For the case of inductor, we have It is equal to 1 over L Vt dt, or we can say the corresponding Laplace transform would be Vs over Sl. And in the case of capacitor, we have It is equal to 1 over Sc. I'll just write the Laplace transform directly. 1 over Sc, and that is, it is Sc dV by dt. So we have, in that case, the dV by dt. I'll just write this one first, dV by dt. Now, if we take the Laplace transform, it is SCVS. So, in any case, all these, either this set can be used or either this set can be used. Now, that doesn't make any difference whether you are a given source Vt or It. But in case of mechanical system, when we talk about the two classifications, in the case of translational system, it is the force Ft, the Newtonian force, and then for the rotational system, it is the torque. So the driving force in this first case is the Newtonian force, and in this case is simply the torque. So let's first of all find out that what are the main elements of a mechanical system. Any mechanical system, translation mechanical system, the three basic components are the mass, designated by M. Then we have a damper. Damper means something like dissipation, and at the same time we are talking about storage as well. So we have damper, which is denoted by D, and then we have a spring, a Hookean spring, that is a linear spring. So we have the designation for that purpose K, which is the spring constant. This is the damping constant. This is the mass. Now, in terms of the Newtonian force, we can form the governing equation. For example, for the mass, we have F is equal to ma, or we can put it like this: m dv by dt, where v is the velocity, vt. So anyhow, I'll just make it as u, because to differentiate between this voltage v and the speed. Or I can put it like this: m d square x by dt square, where x is the displacement. Now similarly, for the damper, it is d times v. That is the damping constant multiplied by the damper's constant multiplied by velocity. Or we can put it like this: d into dx by dt. And finally, we have spring, for which Hooke's law is applicable. Forget about that negative sign, we simply go for kx. So these are the governing equations. Now, in electrical quantities, when we are looking for R and C, this is the dissipation device, whereas those two are the energy storage devices. Well, in this case, things are a little different. So this damper and tail looks to be the same, as both of them are behaving like something like to do with the dissipation as well as something to do with the storage as well. But in case when we are talking about friction, now friction is generally denoted by equivalent damping. That is, the force is actually damped. So that is why for friction we will be using a damper. Now, in order to get a transfer function, we must know what the mechanical system should look like. Now, let's consider an example. Now, as an example, we can say that we have a mass m1, and then we have I'll draw the diagram first and then I'll explain. And put a spring over here as well. And this is the reference. Some mechanical system is modeled to be like this. This is K1. There's a friction, so we can denote this by D1, and the friction over here D2. This is D3, this is D4, and this is of course K2. Now let's say the force is applied on the mass M1. Now this is something like a force which is pushing this mass, and then the force is transmitted on the other side of the mass, something to do with the damping and energy storage. The rest of the force is acting on M2. So there is a displacement actually. Whenever a force acts, it produces a displacement. So that displacement, let's say, is denoted by x1 over here, and using an arrowhead in that direction because the force is transmitted or the displacement occurs in that direction. Now some of the displacement, some of the energy will be lost, and eventually some of the energy will be acting on mass M2 to produce a displacement x2. Now this is hinged. This is secured to the reference, so the displacement is 0. This side does not move. Now similarly, this side is also connected to the reference, so the displacement is 0. Now remember one thing. When we talk about a mass, so mass is a rigid body. So this means displacement on both sides of the mass will be the same. However, damper D is something like a dashpot. The dashpot is a piston and a cylinder arrangement with a fluid. So this is a fluid which actually is something like storing something as well as dissipating something, just like an automobile shock absorber. Now K is a spring, of course. Spring is stretched and then it is compressed. So remember, if you keep that compression, the energy is stored. If you keep it stretched position, the energy is again stored. If you release it, that actually damps things out. That damps energy out by fluctuation. Now similar is the case with damping. So those two have something like similar, more or less similar property. So in any case, we can say that when a force is applied on mass M1, it moves this to displacement x1, and then some of the force which is transmitted is lost or stored, and the rest is directed onto M2 to produce a displacement x2. Now our input is anyhow the force F. This is our input. Talking about the output, now it can be x1 and it can be x2, doesn't make any difference. So in any case, let's say if something is not given to you in question, you can take that displacement, consider the output as x2. So the output is x2. Now in order to get the transfer function, it should be something like of the form x2 divided by fs. So anything on the other side will become the transfer function. Now in order to do that, we need to form a network, a mechanical network on which we can apply simply the rules of electrical circuit, that is KVL and KCL. Now in order to do that, what we have to do is to draw a line which is our reference. Now first of all, indicate the force. Now a force is something like, just like a current source. If you even don't do something over here, don't put an arrow, that doesn't make any difference. This is the force is an acting force on mass m1. Now, the force is acting on mass m1. So we directly have this mass m1. Now m1 is supposed to be connected to the reference because mass is actually lying on the reference. So it is always mandatory that one side of the mass must be connected to the reference. This is the reference, or a ground in electric circuit. Now also the force is acting on K1 if you look, because the K1 spring is stretched actually under the influence of this force. So this will be and this is connected to the mass m1. So we have K1 and the other side of the spring is connected to the reference if you look at that particular picture. So we have this situation. So that completes this. Now between m1 and m2. Now this is actually producing a displacement x1. So the displacement will act as a node. So we have two nodes in this case, x1 and x2. You can place the node x1 and x2 as dots before doing anything. Draw the reference line. On top of the reference line, indicate the two nodes by something like a circle or a dot, because there are two displacements, so there must be two mechanical nodes actually. Now between x1 and x2 we have a combination of those two. So we have a damper and we have a spring which is K2 and this one is D3. Now again, if you look at mass m1, there is a friction. Now friction is with mass m1 and the mass is connected to the reference, so that friction is supposed to be connected in this manner when we talk about the mechanical equivalent mechanical network. Now similarly, I'll just test this one, x2, and then at x2 we have mass m2. So we connect mass m2 to the reference according to the rule, and then with the mass there is a friction. So that friction is d2. And then there is another damper between the mass, at the mass, with the displacement x2 and a reference. So we have another damper which is d4. So we have d4. Now that completes the network. So remember one thing, you simply draw a line which is the base line and that is acting as a reference, a ground in the electrical circuit, equivalent to that. Now the force is always with respect to the reference, remember, that has to be connected. And then how many displacement are there? Possible displacement, they are positioned above this line as nodes, and then between the nodes and the reference you can all connect the elements telling the same story as the system you are actually given. Now that is the first step. Now the second step is to form the equation for each node. Remember again, in terms of electric circuit, a force is always towards the node, and all the other forces, that is the transmitted forces, are outward from this displacement node. So we can say, according to KCL, F is equal to. Now let's write things in terms of differential equation. So we have force transmitted in this direction, force transmitted in this direction. So there are 5 transmitted forces when we talk about node x1. So our first one is m1 dx1 by dt square. Then we have this one which is plus k1 x1. Then we have a damper. We have d1 dx1 by dt plus. Then we have this element which is k2, but that is between the two nodes. So likewise we can say k2 x1 minus x2. Then we have the second one which is plus d2 3, and this is basically d over dt x1 minus x2. Now simplify this one. But before simplifying anyhow, if you want to take the Laplace transform, do it, otherwise simplify this one and then take the Laplace transform. That's your own sweet will. But anyhow, if you take the Laplace transform, that will be f, capital F, then we have s square m1, then we have plus k1, then we have plus s d1. Let's collect all the displacement. Then we have plus k2. Then we have plus s d3. And then we can put those collectively as x1. I'm not using the s in bracket. Doesn't make any difference. The capital letter actually signifies that these are all the Laplace transform quantities. Then we have minus x2, and then we have k2 plus s d3. So this form our equation 1. Now likewise for node 2, there is no acting force, though the force is acting, but that is actually the transmitted force from the other side of the node, which is being acting force. So anyhow there is no source in fact. So the source is 0. Sorry, there is no incoming force. There are all the forces are supposed to be transmitted forces. So again there are how many? 5 in number. There is no source. So starting from m2 d square x2 by dt square, then we have plus d2 dx2 by dt, then we have d4. So we have d4 dx2 by dt, and then we have those two elements which are common between the two nodes. So we have plus k2. In this case we will have x2 minus x1, just like in the electric circuits, plus d3 d by dt into x2 minus x1. Now you can convert that into the equivalent Laplace transform equation, which is 0, and then we have s square m2. Let's first of all likewise collect all the displacements, all the x2's on one side, s d4 plus k2 plus s d3. Now this forms x2 components. Now x1 components minus x1, likewise k2 plus s d3. So this is equation 2. Now since our transfer function should be in this form, so what we want to do over here is to eliminate x1 between the two equations, that is equation 1 and equation 2. Eliminate x1, that is from this equation. If you transform that on the other side, we will have x1 k2 plus s d3. So this term disappears. So you modify this one and this becomes equation 3. Now get the value of x by dividing this entire quantity by this term in the bracket, and then put that in this expression. So what you are actually doing, you are getting x2 on one side and f on the other side. Take the ratio, whatever the mathematical function comes on the other side will be the transfer function. So this is quite easy, not very difficult. The only thing over here is to understand the arrangement of the components and then trying to get things in the form of equivalent mechanical network. Now read the notes please. There is a comprehensive discussion about how to get that one. Let's go to the mechanical rotational system. Now the mechanical rotational system is composing of some sort of a several elements but doing a different job. For example, in this case the mass is a rotating mass, so it is denoted by an equivalent inertia. So a mass is anyhow a rotating quantity, so that rotating quantity is denoted by its inertia, which is J. Now when a torque is applied, according to Newton's law, we have T is equal to J alpha, where alpha is the angular acceleration, and then we have J d omega by dt, or we can write this one as j d square theta by dt square. That is, theta is the angular displacement in this case. Now the other is a damper. Now this damper is schematically the same, but it's rotating, just like a clutch of the automobile is one of the major example of this one. So this one is something like a rotating damping element, that is something to do with the clutching system of the automobile. Now this one is the torque, when we apply torque over here. So when we apply torque, what happens? It actually produces a velocity. So we have d times omega, and this is then d theta by dt. Now a spring, but this spring is a torsional spring. This means it is something like dealing with the torsion of the shaft, because mechanically we can say a shaft is actually composed of different fibers. Now these fibers, just like strands in case of electrical conductor used in transmission line system. So these are filamentary element which is making that particular shaft, and when the shaft is rotated by means of a torque, so all these filamentary elements try to show a little elasticity, and that is actually denoted by a torsion. And a torsion spring, we can use that terminology over here. So the torque, when we apply torque over here, it is simply equal to k times theta. So these are synonymous to something like the translation element, with a little bit of difference, of course, in terms of operation. Now let's consider a mechanical rotational system. Now a mechanical rotational system, let's say we are looking at something like J1 and then we have another J2, and then of course we have damper. This is a reference. A torque is applied over here, producing a displacement theta 1, and we talk about a friction. Now in this case it's a rolling friction. So just like, for example, if you talk about a bearing system. Now a bearing is something like rolling with respect to certain, you can say, pellets which are embedded there. So it produces a friction anyhow, and that is denoted by d1 over here. There is a rolling friction over here denoted by d2. This is d3, this is d4, and this is simply k. So in any case, let's get the equivalent mechanical network over here. But first of all, let's find out what happens when we apply torque on this particular element. Now it rotates. Now rotation causes this to have an angular displacement. But then there is something like a damping effect and energy storage effect. Now collectively that produces loss of the torque which is transmitted onto J2. Now it is actually something like a transmitted torque from the other side which is acting on this side to rotate this one to a displacement which is theta 2. And then of course on both sides of this j theta 2 is the same. So this is same as theta 2, however this is same as theta 1, but then because of those two elements, theta 1 gets something to do with a different displacement denoted by theta 2. And then there is a, this is connected to the reference solidly, so we have theta 0. So let's form the equivalent mechanical network. The formation is very similar to what we have been doing in the translational case. We draw a reference line. And then we designate a torque with the same thing, with the same source. Doesn't make any difference. You don't need an arrow, but since the arrow say that the torque is actually acting on that side. So, and then how many displacement? Theta 1 and then theta 2. These will be acting like mechanical nodes. So anyhow, this theta 1 is supposed to be, torque is acting on J1 which is displacing that to theta 1. So the torque source is connected directly to theta. And then we have J1. Just like mass, J1 has to be, the other side of J1 must be connected to the reference. So we have J1 connected to the reference, and then we have, it is also connected to the displacement node. And then what happens between theta 1 and theta 2? Between theta 1 and theta 2, we have two elements. This is K and this is D3. Now, again there is a rolling friction with J1. So the rolling friction is with J1, so that must be with J1, that is parallel to J1 in other words. So this one is a rolling friction which is D1. So this completes this side diagram. Now let's come to this side diagram. The force which is now transmitted on the other side is acting on J2. So this one is J2 and this is likewise connected to the reference, while one side is connected to that particular mechanical displacement node. And then there is a damper over here. So a damper over here is again between this theta 2 and this reference which is theta 0. So reference, this is D4. The rolling friction with J2 is in parallel with J2 between that particular node and the reference. So this is D2. So that completes the equivalent mechanical network of the situation which is shown over here. So the pictorial lead is in front of you. Try to understand what happens when we apply a torque. And then what happens, the same picture is conveyed onto that equivalent diagram for the formation of equations. Now again we take T and then at node theta 1, this is towards, while all the others are outward. So there are 4 transmitted torques. 4 torques are shown as a transmitted torque. So this is J1. Anyhow, you know how to form the differential equations. I'll just, because I don't want to waste my time, otherwise the video will get very lengthy and it will be difficult to upload. So I go directly to the S domain. So in this case it is S square J1 theta 1. I'm not putting S anyhow, plus S D1 theta 1 plus over here we have K theta 1 minus theta 2 and plus S D3 theta 1 minus theta 2. So if you simplify this one and collect all the terms theta 1 and theta 2, so we have S square J1 plus S D1 plus K plus S D3, and this is big theta 1, and then we have minus, so we have theta 2 which will contain the terms K plus S D3. So this forms equation 1, and likewise we can develop the equation for the second node which is theta 2. So in that case the source torque is 0, and then we have all the torques which are actually acting as a transmitted torque. So again we go directly to S domain. We have S J2, and I'll just collect all the terms together in one step. So we have S D2 and we have S D4 plus K plus S D3. Now that is theta 2 minus theta 1, and it will simply be this quantity. So this is equation 2. Now our transfer function. Now let's say we are interested in forming a transfer function which is of this form, theta 1 divided by torque. Output quantity in this case is, let's say, theta 1. As I said, it doesn't make any difference. It depends upon your requirement. So in this case, let's say your requirement, your field of interest is something like to do with output which is theta 1. So in this case, you transform this on the other side. So this will be K plus S D3 into theta 1. Now when we transform this one, this becomes equation 3. Now theta 2 eliminate theta 2 between the two equations by getting the value of theta 2 from here and then putting that in this equation 1. So you will get something like only one side in terms of theta 1 and the other side will be E. Get the ratio, whatever expression you get over there will be the transfer function. So this is simply end of mechanical system. Now let's talk about an electromechanical system. Electromechanical systems are generally used very commonly. A generator, a motor is one of the important examples in the field of electrical engineering. So electromechanical system forms an integral part of the robotic system, and it's better to know what should be the transfer function. Now let's start with a simple element in electrical world, that is a motor. Now a motor is a device which is used to convert the electrical energy into mechanical energy. So it's basically a transducer because it's converting one form of energy to the other form of energy. Now in this case, let's say our motor is simply composed of a winding. A winding is having inductance as well as what you call that one, a resistance. So we have R and L. They are in series. So this is the rotor part of that motor. This is the supply voltage. Let's say the supply voltage is E. This is R, and I'll write things directly in S domain. So this is SL. And then you must have heard about the back EMF. So the back EMF is EB. So EB is the back EMF, and then this rotor is driving a certain mechanical load, that is maybe it's a pulley which is carrying a shaft, and that shaft is supported on bearings. So we can say that we call this one as equivalent inertia of the load, of the rotating load, and then the bearing part is actually a damper. So we have B and B to make it simple anyhow. So eventually what happens, this produces a torque basically on the load. So a torque is acting on the load, and this will produce a displacement. Now looks like there is only one displacement, theta, because theta is same on the other side, but then theta is equal to 0. So both these are under the influence of only one angular displacement, theta. Now when we talk about this particular electrical side, we have a current, let's say IT. I'll put it as Laplace transform current, and I'll denote this by capital letters. So let's form the KVL equation of this one. So E is equal to I into R plus SL. Of course, plus EB, which is the back EMF. So back EMF is actually in opposition to the source. So this is the electrical side equation. Let's call this one as equation 1. Now